Cheers. First and foremost, I just wanted to say we hit 100K. Oh my god. This actually happened last weekend, but I'm just so incredibly baffled and like thankful, and you guys don't even know how much it means to me that we have such a big community now on YouTube. I started my channel 2 years ago, and it's been a hot minute since I first started off, and we've gone through so many like different phases in my life, dyeing my hair and doing all these makeup and like beauty videos. And I just, from the bottom of my heart, I don't want this to be sappy or cheesy or anything, but I'm just so incredibly grateful for all the support and all the friendly comments, everyone that watches my videos and anyone who's ever reached out. I love each and every one of you, and I kind of see you guys as my friends a little bit. Is that weird? But I just really wanted to say thank you, and I love you guys. And yeah, so that's our sappy moment. I don't know if I articulated it well. I think the pandemic's made me pretty bad at public speaking. Today's video, as you can see, involves a little bit of alcohol. I'm calling this series Soju with Sarah. I wanted to call it Sake with Sarah, but I realized that soju is a much more popular drink to use in different cocktails. Some of you guys reach out to me for like life advice and guidance on different things, and there are a lot of topics that I just want to talk about in general. So I'm just gonna treat this as like a very loose form of video that I'll pick up whenever I want to talk about different things, talk about life. I was thinking of also bringing on guests, so the next one I do think I want to do like a boyfriend tag, which I never thought I would. Maybe like a boyfriend Q&A. James is down, of course. Today's video, in honor of 100K subscribers, I wanted to do 100 questions. I asked you guys for questions on my Instagram. So the first one, and I did not plan this at all, but this is so suiting. What is your go-to drink, cocktail, or spirit? Soju. But no, actually, if I were at a bar, probably a White Russian if I'm okay not sleeping that night. I actually think 50% of the time when I go to a bar and ask for White Russian, they are out of a creamer. So in that case, I just become very basic and ask them for something sweet and fruity. The next one is so random. How many 4th graders do you think you could fight before they overwhelm you? Probably 0. I would probably never fight with a 4th grader, but that's a great question. Would you say you had an Asian upbringing? Did that have an impact on you growing up? Oh my god, yes. Throughout my childhood, I had a predominantly Asian upbringing because my parents didn't speak English very well, and they were just immigrant blue-collar workers. And so I think that influenced a lot of how I grew up. I sometimes felt isolated from friends who weren't from the same culture as me, and there were just like certain things that I did growing up that I would always be embarrassed about, and now looking back on it, I wish I wasn't embarrassed. Like one of them would be that my mom would cook for me every single morning and like package the food in Tupperware, and then I'd take it to school, and then there would always be like steam on the lid when I took it off, and every single kid in elementary school always got like school lunch, like the pizzas, and I don't even remember what they had for school lunch, like the milk cartons and everything like that, and I always felt so embarrassed to have to even like ask for a microwave so that I could heat up my like fried rice. Oh my god, I would love to talk about like my Asian upbringing and just my like personal identity as a Chinese American, maybe in a separate Soju with Sarah episode. What's your Myers-Briggs type indicator? I don't remember the last time I took it, but it probably was like 2 years ago. If I remember correctly, I was definitely in there. And actually, let me just take a test now so I can see, because I'm curious now. Whenever I take these tests, I realize that I'm most of the time in the middle. And I don't know if it's because I feel like a very complacent person or a neutral person. Okay, this is not what I remember I was like 2 years ago. I am ISTJT. Introverted, observant, thinking, judging, turbulent. Interesting. How long have you and James been dating, and what's your tip for making relationships work? I've gotten a lot of questions about James. I guess you guys like him, as do I, of course. We've been dating for 4 years and a little bit over now. It's been a while. We started dating in college, and yeah, we've had our like ups and downs. I think the biggest thing, of course, communication is important. Everyone always says like communication is key to a good relationship, but I think the top thing for us is making an effort. I think we're on the same page in terms of understanding when we need to put in the effort. There are a lot of other tips that I will share in another Soju with Sarah video. This is just a running ad for future episodes of Soju with Sarah. Tell a funny story of drunk Sarah. I think I've already talked about this one before, but I'll just Say it again. So in college, I was in something called an eating club, which is what our school kind of had in place of like frats and sororities. I wasn't in the eating club system for a very long time, but the semester that it was, I had like night duties. So there's one night that my eating club was holding like a party, and I think it was a party or some form of like a social gathering. So I was in charge of manning the alcohol station, and this is not it's not like a professional setting, so you can drink as much as you want, just don't get like wasted. And going back to the first question, actually, the drink of the night was White Russians. I had never had a White Russian ever in my life, and I didn't know what was in it. White Russian has alcohol, but it also has caffeine in it. So I spent the whole night like standing there, like manning the drink station, refilling and everything, like drinking it as well, without realizing that it had all this caffeine in the freaking drink. I think I ended my shift at like 2 p.m. I went home and I was exhausted. When I laid in my bed, I thought I was gonna die. My body was so jittery. My heart was just like pounding so fast. If any of you guys know me, I'm not a caffeine person. I don't drink coffee, and even tea sometimes gets me a little too like buzzed. Yeah, so it was basically me sitting in bed for 4 hours, listening to my heart like pound against my chest. And then, so completely random and tangential, I bought a bleaching kit for my hair a few weeks ago, and I was planning to bleach my hair for the first time. So I think it was like 6 a.m. or something around that. And I just went to this tiny bathroom in the basement of my dormitory. I like popped out the bleach and everything. I watched a tutorial on YouTube, and that's when I bleached my hair for the first time. I don't think I actually slept afterwards too. I just like bleached my hair and then went on with my day. I went to classes and things like that. But yeah, moral of the story is know what you're drinking before you drink it. I've also done stupid things when I'm drunk, but we can talk about it next time. This question is, will you go on a date with me? All right, fam. Where are we going? No, I don't know if my boyfriend would let me, but how many kids would you love to have later on? Great question. Because now that I'm approaching that age, I should probably be thinking about that. I definitely want an even number, because I don't know if you could hear the cat. I feel like I want an even number of kids just because I want every kid to have a corresponding best sibling friend. I'd like to think that having 4 is sufficient, and probably 4. Actually, I take that back, 2 and then 4 if I decide to have more kids. What is your attachment style? Wonderful question. I think I'm more anxious, and then my boyfriend is more avoidant. There's a great book that I highly recommend. It's called Attached. When I read through this, I really resonated with the attached personality traits. And yeah, so that's my attachment style. Favorite YouTubers? I have so many, but just to name a few. Moya Mawini, I love her vibes and aesthetic. Alexa Sunshine 83, she's the OG of thrifting. I've been watching her since forever. I love the queen, Katie Yu. She has like the best fashion videos. And then in like the lifestyle vlog sphere, Julia Faye. Julia's videos are just so relaxing and like calming to watch. I love Lois Park in her vlogs. My fam, girl, I want to be your best friend if you're watching this. Money Sign Eric, I love his food videos, and we could just like keep going on. I have so many favorite YouTubers. If you could be a cat, what breed would you want to be? Oh, that's a great question. The easy answer would probably be one of those expensive, luxurious cats like Scottish Fold or like Ragdoll. But I really want to be one of those, not feral cats, but just, let me try to look up the name of one. Oh, Savannah and Bengal. Those cats are so pretty too. In my head, they seem like more ferocious cats. But honestly, I would love to be either of my cats just to know what they're thinking. So either Honey or Gata. How often do you drink alcohol? I think I don't really have a schedule for drinking. Maybe now I will. I really only drink alcohol when my friends want to. I don't like doing any social activities during the week when I have to work. But yeah, it kind of averages out to be like once a week. How did you make friends after college besides hanging out with old college friends? This is a question that I ask myself too nowadays. So a lot of the time I've actually met people through friends of friends. So I'll go to a party or like a social activity that a friend is having, and then I'll meet someone. And then tried to be more proactive recently because I realized after 2 years of not seeing anyone that I really missed talking to people and meeting people, 90% of the time they're friendly and receptive to hanging out again. So that's how I've been meeting like new friends after college. But I will say it is pretty hard to meet friends after college. What's your favorite position in bed? Fetal. What languages can you speak and understand, and how well? I speak Chinese with my parents, so I'm pretty fluent in spoken Chinese. Written Chinese is a different story. I went to Chinese school growing up, but I never really retained much. And I also took French all throughout high school, and that has deteriorated un petit peu. Yeah, I don't think I can hold a conversation in French anymore. Why are you so beautiful? Oh, Ash. When can we get another hair dye video? Probably not soon, if I'm being honest. I actually wanted to do a hair dye video for this 100K special, which would have been so great. My first viral video was actually me dyeing my hair, but I think at a certain point I just decided it was time for my hair to start growing out. If you can see, my roots are disgusting. I'm hoping next year I want to go blonde again. What is your big three? Astrology. I have no idea. So I'm a Gemini, but I don't know everything else because I don't know what time I was born. Okay, next one is I love you. I love you too. Do you like working 9 to 5? For me, and I think this is true of most people, 9 to 5 is a good compromise for being able to earn a living and also have a good amount of stability in your life. So the answer is no. If you're just asking me whether or not I like working 5 days a week with 70% of my waking daylight hours in front of a computer, unfortunately. Wow, we have not made a dent in this at all. What is your stance on religion? Do you believe in God? In general, I would count myself more as like an agnostic. I think part of it is because I wasn't raised with religion in my household, but I'm a very spiritual person and I believe in the existence of God, and I'm very superstitious as well. Would you ever get a tattoo? Yes, I really want one, but I just don't know what to get yet. Maybe sometime soon. I don't know. This is a question I got a lot. Why didn't you live with your boyfriend when you moved to New York City? I actually wanted to. I think it was kind of a toss-up between living with my roommate and then living with my boyfriend. Kyle used to be one of my roommates in college, and before we were graduating, we kind of like made a pact to live together. I just figured I'll be living with James later on if we're still together. So there's like no rush for me to move in with James. But as for friends, I feel like there's not ever going to be a time in my life outside of now where I would probably have the chance to live with friends. I have been answering questions for the last hour and I realize we still have 75% of the questions not answered. So let's make this a little bit faster. Is this where you thought you would be at this age? What do you think or hope life would be like? This is actually not at all what I thought I would be doing. If you had asked me this question maybe 10 years ago when I was in high school, there's like two routes. So I would have thought I was either in some fashion career, or I would have thought that I had been in the startup world, kind of like doing my own thing, starting my own business. And actually the third option, which I also saw for myself, is I would be in a corporate job, but not as a software engineer. I really never expected to be a software engineer. So the answer is no, but I'm pretty happy where I am right now because I really like the fact that I'm able to make YouTube videos and reach an audience that I wouldn't otherwise have been able to in another profession. What's 3 things you're looking forward to most for 25 years around the sun? So I'm turning 25 in June, which is so soon. For like 3 goals that I have now that I'm approaching that age. Being able to provide for my family. I want to be more present and be there for them. Second one is I'm really excited to eventually find like my home. At the current moment, every place I live is just temporary, but I really look forward to having my home that I can decorate the way I want to. I also want to find more hobbies because I feel like I'm at a point where I'm so busy that I don't have a lot of hobbies. But longer term, I really want to dedicate that effort into finding things that I like to do and doing it more often. How do you keep yourself calm when you struggle at work? Oh, I don't. I think the biggest thing that I've realized is whenever I get stressed at work and it's just been like a long work week, being able to talk to people is important for me. I very much thrive off of other people's energy, so I really enjoy, after like a long stressful week, being around someone that is excited, optimistic, happy, calm, and like, yeah. I think friends is my solution. Maybe alcohol. I'm just kidding. Not condoning drinking, as I drink a really good soju drink that you guys should actually try making. It's delicious. Also shout out to my friend Esther who introduced us to this. Do Gata and Honey get along? So Gata is my older cat and then Honey is a more recent cat. The answer is no. That's also partly why I brought Honey over to New York and they're like separated now. I really wish they did, but I guess younger cats and older cats don't always mesh, but unfortunately they do not. Do you believe in soulmates? I do. And my boyfriend doesn't. You seem burnt out in your videos. You good? Ooh, I am a little bit burnt out. I think recently my job has been slightly more stressful and I've been trying to keep up with like a consistent posting schedule. So it's been a lot, but I enjoy what I'm doing and that makes up for it. And if I didn't enjoy what I'm doing, I would like to think that I would stop doing it. If there are any moments where I seem really stressed in my video, it probably is because I am. Thank you for the check-in too. I really appreciate it. What's the most recent thing you've learned about yourself? I realized recently that I'm not good at turning small talk into like a very personal talk with strangers. My battery just died, so camera angle might be a little bit different. Anyways, that leads us into the next question, which is, are you more of an extrovert or an introvert? In college, I was definitely very much an extrovert. And then after the pandemic now, I feel like I'm more of an introvert. So 2 separate questions, which is favorite Netflix show and then favorite movie. I can't think of a Netflix show, but I will put you guys on one of my favorite HBO shows, Barry. Bill Hader is the mastermind behind that one, and I just think it's entertaining, engaging, and like very well written. Favorite movie, I always say Up. There are a ton of movies that I really like, but Up is just one that is dear to my heart, near to my heart. Have you ever smoked? In college, I smoked maybe a couple of times, but it never really like hits me. Like cigars and weed don't really impact me. Am I single? Unfortunately, not. I am sorry about that. How do you manage your finances? Personally, I've tried those like finance management apps. I think Wealthfront is one of them. The issue with Wealthfront that I've encountered before is just that it doesn't stay very up to date and you always have to like re-log in. But from a holistic perspective, I think apps like Wealthfront help me a lot with like managing my finances. Best products for dyeing hair on your own. Olaplex, which I've never used. So maybe I'm not like the right person to ask for this question. And there's some bond sustainers that definitely help when you're dyeing your hair to make sure that your hair doesn't completely fall out. There's a type of bleach if you're planning to bleach your hair called like Schwarzkopf, something like that, that I felt made my hair really healthy. And then some people like to dye their hair with henna, so that's also a good option. What happened to the house you bought? Some of you guys might have seen my video last year, I think, when I bought a house. After I moved to New York, I just rented that out, so it's still my house, but it's being lived in by other people, but it's there. What's your go-to boba order? I really like Thai tea. Like that's my go-to drink whenever I go to a Thai restaurant. But if not Thai tea, I'll get something mango. I'll probably get like a mango slushie with some aloe jelly or something like that. And then if I'm really feeling basic, it would be milk tea boba. Do you feel like living in New York City lives up to the hype? I think to me it does, but for some people it probably doesn't. The reason I am so like infatuated with New York is because there's just so much livelihood and energy that surrounds me. And in no other city have I ever felt this motivated to pursue my creative interests and do things that are not as like conventional. Are you enjoying life? Oh, yeah, I am. I think there's always a level above where I'm like, I could be happier if I did X, Y, and Z. But at the current moment, I'm really happy with where I am and the people I'm surrounded. I will say I've had some moments in the last couple of weeks where I've just been feeling down. A lot of those feelings are like temporary and I understand that. And so where do you see yourself in 10 years? And any long-term plans? In 10 years, hopefully I'll be married with kids. I hope to have a better sense of like my self-identity and what I want out of life. I've always wanted to start my own business, but I don't know if that's in like the cards for me. So maybe that's something that'll happen in 10 years. How are you so confident always? I'm not. I will say I am tremendously more confident than I used to be. I was very insecure in growing up and also part of college, but I've learned to find things that I really like about myself and cherish that, as opposed to looking at the things that I don't like about myself and putting myself down for it. What's your current or next goal? 500K. I'm just kidding. I want to get a dog at some point. The other goal I really have been trying to work on is just time management. I'm hoping to get to a point where I can balance like working full-time, doing YouTube, and having a social life without compromising sleep and other things like that. And maybe that's a very lofty goal, but I think that's my next priority. Who do you look up to? I look up to my mom a lot. She's a very strong woman, and I recognize that a lot of like positive traits that I have and that I appreciate in myself, I get that from my mom. Sappy answer, but yeah. How many piercings do you have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 lobe piercings, 2 cartilage piercings, and then 1 conch piercing. What was your favorite hair color that you've ever had? I really liked the pink color that I had. Yeah, and then with the bangs, loved it. What's your favorite type of cuisine? Ooh, that's a tough one. There's a list. I love Mediterranean food, I love Indian food, I love Chinese food, Korean, and I'll stick to those 4, but I love food in general, so it's hard to say. Are you a dog or a cat person? I have cats, so I want to say cat. And speaking of cats, so I used to be a dog person, and then I got my first cat, and now I feel like I'm more of a cat person. Do you game? I don't game. I feel like if I started gaming, I would just get addicted and spend all my time gaming. How many roommates do you have? So I have 1 roommate right now. His name is Kyle, and you've probably seen him in some of my videos. Favorite song at the moment, Elliot song by Dominic Fike, but not the version on Euphoria, the studio version. You have to listen to it with headphones or with a really loud speaker. It's so good. And Zendaya is on the track too. Next question is, how old am I? I am 24 years old. What is your pet peeve? I hate when people are on their phone when you're talking to them and they hear what you say like 10 seconds later. So I'll say something and then they're texting someone else. They'll like pause, think about what you said, and then respond. I hate it. Just like, don't use your phone when you're talking to me. How many people have you dated in the past? Officially 3 people, and then I've had my fair share of fuckboys. So what are your New York City restaurant recs? Mala Project is a staple. I feel like a lot of people know about Mala Project. Hob is great. Birria tacos, if you saw my last video. There's a place called Tip Osha, I think, that has a great lunch deal. It's like $9 for pad thai or pad see ew. And then the next question is my favorite bars or places to go out. I would say K-Town is cool. I really like going out in K-Town. And then in terms of bars, the ones that I can think of is there's one called Rudy's where you get like a hot dog with every, I forget if it's like a beer or a drink, but it's just like $1 or $2. And then Blinkies, I've been advocating for them for so long. I love Blinkies. It's in Williamsburg. Who is the most famous person you have ever met? I did not really meet him, but I was getting brunch with a friend at this cafe, and then I think Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner were in the same freaking cafe. To this day, I've not found a photo of them eating at a specific cafe, but I know what happened. I didn't go up and get an autograph though. I feel like that would have been too like fangirly on my end. Weirdest DM that you have ever gotten? I would say generally I've gotten sugar baby requests, but yeah, some of them are so direct. They're like, hi, do you want to be my sugar baby? And I'm like, do I know you? And then some other ones will be like very incoherent messages that ask me to give them a job at Google. I used to respond to every single DM, so I would say like, sorry, I can't help you there, but you can check out jobs.google.com. Celebrity crush. The name starts with Michael and ends with B. Jordan. What is your personal flaw? I think the most prominent one is starting things and not seeing them through, or starting things and getting really excited and then not completing a task. Spicy or sweet? Definitely into spicy things. I feel like my palate for sweet things has gone down in the last couple of years. Can we see more of Honey? Here she is. She wants to play, so she's not really in the mood to be on camera. 2 questions for the next one. Would you ever move out of New York City, and if so, where? In the near future, I don't plan on moving to a different city, but I do see myself potentially wanting to live abroad at some point, maybe in Japan or Korea. What were you like as a kid? I was a pretty introverted kid, and I also focused a lot on my studies, so I would say I was like more nerdy, conventionally nerdy. Next travel destination. I hope it's Hawaii. I think that I want to go to Hawaii next. Favorite food? I think I'd probably say mochi at the current moment, but I can probably think of some other ones too. A little more personal, but when did you have your first kiss? I was a late bloomer, so I had my first kiss when I was 17, and that's also because I was just like an introvert growing up, and also my parents weren't really into the idea of me dating people. So where in New York City have you lived? I've lived in Manhattan. Specifically, I lived in Hell's Kitchen. I lived in Upper East Side at some point for just like a month or two, and currently I am living in Brooklyn / Williamsburg. Favorite thing about James? He's very funny. I will give him that. Another question about James is, when are you guys getting married? I do not know. I feel like after I graduated, I was in a huge rush to get my life together and get married and have kids super soon, like at this age. But now I'm kind of just going with the flow, so I don't have an urgency to get married, but ideally it would be before we're 30. Have you gotten COVID yet? I have not. When is your birthday? My birthday is June 16th. What camera do you use to film? So I have two. I use the Canon G7X Mark II and the Canon T6i, which I got a while ago. Favorite Euphoria character? I'd probably give it to Maddie, but I will say Nate really grew on me at the tail end of season 2. How has work been recently? It's been good. It's been a lot busier, I think, than it was a month ago, but so far it's been good. I love my team, which is like a great thing. What eyeliner do you use? So currently I'm using the e.l.f. eyeliner. I don't know if there's a name for it, but I highly recommend the KVD one because that was what I was using prior, and that one just stayed on a little bit longer. This is a question that I've gotten in a lot of comment sections in my videos. Is my boyfriend okay with me living with a male? The answer is yes, otherwise I wouldn't be living with a male. But also James knows Kyle and they've been friends, so it's not really a big deal to us, but I know it's like kind of taboo for some people. What is your favorite color? Right now I want to say it's green, but it also changes. What is your gym routine? I don't go to the gym. That's so bad, but I've been meaning to start working out again. I stopped when the pandemic happened and I just never picked it up, and I really should. Where do you get your glasses? This is probably the most frequently asked question on my channel. I got these from Ace and Tate. These are my all-time favorite glasses. They're the style Neil, and I think the color is called like Space Oddity. Would you get more cats? Yes, 100%. What are your thrifting recommendations for New York City? I always recommend Goodwill Outlet because I think you can get really good stuff at the Goodwill Outlet for really cheap. But in terms of other places, I think Urban Jungle is a good one, and then L Train Vintage is also a good one that's like nearby in Brooklyn. This person says, do you still sew? I really liked your earlier videos where you sewed. Yeah, I haven't sewn in a really long time, and I think it's because I don't have access to a sewing machine. Well, that's not true. James has a sewing machine, but I never use his sewing machine. And I've been thinking of getting one for myself, but I also just don't have time to do anything. So maybe in the near future, I'll do another sewing video. Very random question, but what is your shoe size? I'm a size 7/7.5, depending on the day. How do you find a good apartment in New York City? I will redirect you to Street Easy. That is, I think, where a lot of people find their apartments, and then definitely see it virtually and in person if you can. But yeah, finding an apartment is kind of hard in New York City at the current moment, from what I've heard. What would be your ideal job? Probably being a baker or something very quaint. I want something more peaceful than a corporate job, and also gives me more mental headspace to think about other things. How often do you and James see each other? We actually see each other pretty frequently. So I would say like once every 2 days, or even every single day. What phone do you have? I have a pretty old phone. This is the iPhone XR, I believe. I really don't know how many questions we're at, but I'm pretty much done with this. So let's do a couple more, and then I hope it's 100. Okay, next question is, how much do you spend in a month living in New York City? I would say it ranges anywhere from like $400 to $800 a month. And I've been trying to curb it a lot, but I realized that hanging out with people in New York City basically just means spending money, or going out and eating and spending money. So yeah, it's a lot. Favorite video that you've ever made? I have to say it is the video that I made really early in my YouTube channel, and it's called Becoming the Main Character, I think. And the reason is because whenever I look back on that video, I get really sentimental because I remember the kind of headspace that I was in when I made it, and the amount of effort that went into digging up all the clips and all the videos that I had from when I first moved to New York. And it's just a very meaningful time in my life, and I'm really glad that I made that video. What do you call your fans? That is a great question. My friends? I don't really have a cute name for the people that watch my videos. Maybe I can call you guys like my pan fam. I don't know. If you have suggestions, definitely let me know down in the comments because I have had a hard time trying to think of a good name. How would you describe your current aesthetic? I am very heavily influenced by my surroundings and like where I am in life. If you asked me this half a year ago, I'd probably say something more along the feminine route, but now I would say I'm more streetwear, baggy, like still somewhat feminine. I like to try different styles, but I think it just makes me feel more comfortable in New York City wearing something baggier than something tight that would attract a lot of attention. So what is your social security number? It is 911. What is the next piercing that you plan to get? I got my conch recently, so that's there, but I really want to get a rook on the same ear, so I think that's gonna happen next. Are you a lightweight or a heavyweight? I think I'm more of a lightweight, but I'm like selective, so if I really want to feel drunk, I'll let myself feel drunk like one drink in, but if I don't, then I can have as many drinks as, well, that's not true. I can have a lot of drinks and not feel drunk if I don't want to let myself feel that way. And speaking of, how long does it take you to edit a video? I think it takes me like upwards of 40 hours if it's a really tough video. Like this last video that I made, I had so much footage. It definitely took me a while. But then quicker videos, I think it would maybe take me like 10 hours to edit. I'm a really slow editor. And then one more question about editing. What software do I use for editing? I use Premiere Pro. And then the very last question that I had for myself is, are you drunk right now? The answer is no. I actually don't feel that tipsy either. And I think it's because I only had 1 cup of this. But yeah, that is the video for today. I did want to thank you guys again for 100k subscribers. It really just blows my mind that we're at that point right now in the channel. And definitely let me know if you guys are interested in Soju with Sarah videos. If you have any ideas for future episodes of Soju with Sarah, definitely leave it down below. I hope you guys are having a great and wonderful day, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace. I know I'm feeling the alcohol because I suddenly got a heat wave and I don't think I'm hitting menopause yet.